Hello and welcome back to Come Geek Some. If you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe for all future content. In this video, I'm going to be talking about It Chapter 2. This is going to be my review. It will have a few spoilers in, but it won't have that many. Overall, I actually enjoyed the film, and it's not up to par with the first one, though, in my eyes. It Chapter 1 was just a brilliant horror movie. It was perfect, you know? There's a lot of emotion there, mostly because of the kids as well. And it was more danger with the first one, most likely. Again, probably because it was children. And when children are the heroes, and obviously the main villain likes to hurt kids, it kind of shows you why. But say I really enjoyed Chapter 2. It was there was only a few jump scares. There wasn't that many, which I was actually a little bit disappointed in. And obviously, It Chapter 1, it had plenty full of jump scares. Unless I'm just getting desensitized to a lot of stuff this day and age regarding horror films. But I probably jump scared about twice, maybe 3 times the most. And don't get me wrong, it is a fantastic film. It looks gorgeous, but my issue I had with it overall, I think, was because they used some pretty big A-list actors as the grown-up children of the Losers Club, and I loved Bill Hader. Bill Hader, to me, was the standout of them all. He probably played it the best. He was so good, and again, he's a comedian, so obviously, to play the grown-up Richie and to see what Richie was like as a kid, with always making jokes, always putting people down with him, Bill Hader was the perfect cast for him. Overall, I would never have had James McAvoy as the grown-up Bill. Again, I think that's mostly because, obviously, James McAvoy is a pretty big A-lister. You got Professor X, you got Wanted, you got tons of films he's been in. And to see Professor X fighting Pennywise, it was a little bit like, nah. It just kind of takes it away. Same as Jessica Chastain, man. I love Jessica Chastain. I loved her in Crimson Peak. I loved her in Zero Dark 30. I loved her in all other things. But seeing her as the grown-up Beverly, I know they were kind of going for certain actors, like who they would kind of be or grown up to look like. But I really do think they should have gone for other people for those 2 roles. Going on to say Jay Ryan as Ben, the grown-up Ben, he was awesome. Again, obviously in the books, he's grown up, he's lost weight, he's a good-looking dude and everything else. And it worked well, It worked very well in this film. Like I said, Bill Hader, top-notch. Bill Hader, best thing of the film, along with Skarsgård. Obviously, Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise, man. The guy needs to be in more films. That's all I can say. It's the way everything else was going on, and it's when you look at it, because I went to the double bill of obviously the first film, and then it went straight into Chapter 2, and that's probably the best way to watch it, because say you watch Chapter 1, say the last time you saw it was a couple of weeks ago, or even when it first came out, so you're looking about 2 years or whatever, and then you're like, you know what, I enjoyed the first one, I'll go and watch this. You do kind of forget certain things. But with this, because it was a double bill, it went straight into it, and you can remember little details, and it just worked out perfect. Probably one of my favourite parts of the film is with, again, this is going to be a bit of a spoiler now. We all remember Henry from the first film, Henry Bowers, who killed his father with his knife, but obviously he also killed his 2 other friends who were there when he actually received the knife from Pennywise in the mail. Well, he's in an insane asylum, but obviously because for the murders of his father and 2 friends, he has become there, and he is literally just still lost it. He still thinks Pennywise is there for him, he's still going nuts, and obviously he gets out, and he still wants to kill the kids. Obviously they've all grown up now, and his friend who breaks him out of the hospital is actually Patrick Hockstetter, his friend from the first one, the one who was killed by Pennywise in the sewers, when he had the makeup blowtorch, and he comes out, obviously, he's all the decomposed zombie and stuff, and he breaks him on. He's the one who's driving the car, which is actually really funny. And there's a part where, let's say with this part now, you may want to skip ahead, because obviously I'm going to say something now which is actually in the film, and to me, it's probably the best line I've heard all year in the movie. So what happens is, Eddie, obviously, the hypochondriac, he's looking in the mirror after he's just been puked on by one of Pennywise's many forms, and obviously we know that he doesn't like the leper and all this kind of thing. And he's looking in the mirror, and he closes the mirror slightly, obviously, that little touch of the mirror they do, and standing behind him is Henry Bowers. And he stabs Eddie in the side of the face, and the knife's there, so he's like, oh, what the fuck? And he's turning round, and he's walking towards the bathtub as well, and Bowers is there saying, oh, you gotta die, it's told me, it's your time to die, and all this kind of stuff, He goes in, gets in the bathtub, Eddie closes the curtain, Henry walks forward, and Eddie stabs him through the curtain with his knife, and it goes inside Henry's chest. And obviously Henry's there like, this ain't supposed to happen, he's looking at the knife and everything else. Eddie climbs out of the bathtub, shuffles along the door, stops, looks at Henry and goes, you should cut that fucking mullet. It's been like 30 years, man. And that was it. I was gone. It was the funniest line I have heard in such a long time. And the entire audience just ruptured into laughter. However, I think because of the way it was filmed as well, because it is quite a shocking scene when all this is happening. The knife in the face and everything else, and everyone's like, oh my god. Then all of a sudden, this one-liner comes out, and it went nuts. End of spoiler. But yeah, so with the film, obviously, it does dive into how, obviously, in the mini-series of Tim Curry, when he turns into a spider and all this kind of stuff, it does happen again, but the monsters in this, you can see that Andy, the director, he does kind of put his own spin on the monsters sort of thing, and my issue with that was, they could have done a lot more with practical effects, I was watching The Thing recently, John Carpenter's one from 1983, and just seeing how the practical effects in that movie were just so good. And it just blew my mind when I saw The Thing. I still watch it to this day. I actually bought it on Blu-ray the other day, and just going from that, the practical effects still shock. They are still fantastic. And there was a lot of things in this film that could have been done with practical, but obviously they decided to go for CGI. And I don't know why, but that seems to be the go-to for a lot of things now, is CGI. And it would have been a lot better, again, done practical effects. There's a nod to The Thing in there, with a spider head and everything else. And there's a few things which obviously do need to have CGI added to them. But when all is said and done, what it could have been, don't get me wrong, it is a good film. I enjoyed it. The runtime, 2 hours 45 minutes, it actually flew by. I was quite surprised how fast it went. The film started at 10 p.m. and, we were there just waiting and everything else. And to me, it literally felt like 20 minutes had gone by. Looked at my watch, and it was 11:45. I was like, oh my god, nearly 2 hours has flown by. That's so good the film keeps you in, it just locks you in, and that's it, it's there. But again, I really enjoyed it. However, things aside, like I've said, obviously, getting the cast, they should have just gone with no big stars. They should have just kept it relatively low-key sort of thing. Bill Hader, perfect casting, though, best part of the movie, him and Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise, and everything is good. So I'm going to give it, Chapter 2, 7 out of 10.